So myself and Alison have been working on a music programme. So when we came to the Dragon's Den a year ago, I think, we wanted to fund a music and healthcare programme at Crawley Community Hospital. 15-week programme of music making at people's bedsides with a team of musicians who are specially trained to work in hospital care settings with people with dementia. So we don't come on the ward as entertainers, we come on the ward to create, really to use music as a relational tool, I would say. So we try and assess what's happening in each bay or at each person's bedside and think, how can music support this person's well-being, this family's well-being, the staff well-being as well. So that's how we're thinking about music, and we use our voices, we use acoustic instruments, and we use simple iPad technology as well, because people can create their own music with just a very light touch of their hand. And we wanted to run a programme for 15 weeks and see if at the end of 15 weeks, with some ongoing support from our organisation, if the hospital could continue to use music identify a way it could continue to use music making that suited the hospital, and then continue to do that. Bless you.
Sorry.
Sorry. So, I'll start with the first bit. The 15-week music making at bedsides at Crawley was just absolutely brilliant. It's such a fantastic hospital. So we found the engagement with patients was just absolutely amazing. We didn't use, because we've already done some research using dementia care mapping in a community hospital that was led by the Trust, we didn't use things like dementia care mapping and evaluation tools to map patient wellbeing, because we've already done that, we've already got that evidence, and we didn't want to double that up. But we took feedback and staff observations and reflective practice from the musicians to kind of assess to what extent we'd helped reduce people's anxiety and stress, to what extent we'd helped them to express themselves, something about themselves, and to what extent we'd created a kind of sense of community within the hospital, so created common ground so people can come together and make music together. And all the feedback that we had and the observations that we did suggested that those outcomes were met quite successfully. There was really good engagement. I have to say as well, the musicianship among the staff at Crawley is
revelation.
Really amazing, really amazing, and the desire to engage. So all that was fantastic. At the end of that 15 weeks, I'm not going to go into this in great detail, but there were, the organisation that I was working for went very suddenly into administration. So we all lost our jobs and all the, everything kind of had to stop. However, undeterred, I have scooped up the programme and our musicians and our partners and some of our funders and set up my own social enterprise. So it's still called Wishing Well, but now Wishing Well Music for Health social enterprise. So in terms of unexpected challenges, that was quite a big one. So that meant that really got in the way of the ongoing support we could give the hospital. But I suppose the learning from it, at least three things really. One is that when we were in the hospital, visiting weekly, there was really amazing staff engagement. But to sustain that level of music making without us going in regularly, I think would require something like a music link nurse, or somebody whose actual job it is, whether it's one of the healthcare assistants, whether it's one of the staff nurses, I'm not sure, but for somebody to really have that as a role. This is my expertise and this is something I'm going to make sure is always on offer. And the advice from the Trust was there's just no capacity to even think about that. But the person who is really the shining star of this story, I think, one of the OT, she's an OT tech, I think, called Heather Kerner, who sadly couldn't be with us today. She took the music making on to a really phenomenal extent, so she already had really great relational skills with people at their bedsides. And the bit of the music project she really loved, we all know about the singing with people with dementia is really well documented, isn't it? That kind of familiar repertoire and the stimulation that provides and the sense of engagement that provides. And we do a lot of that, but we also use instruments that, if I have a second, I'll show them to you, but instruments that are specially set up so that you can create and improvise on them in the moment without any previous experience. And they're a really good way, especially for people, I would say, who need a more sensory experience, for whom singing may not be so easy. It's a really good relational tool, and that's the stuff that Heather really took on. So I think you did a League of Friends bid.
So, as the dementia lead for the Trust, I've always wanted to work with Jo for years and years, and we finally got the chance to do it. So, yeah, I did a League of Friends bid after the 15 weeks, and hopefully we're going to have some iPads on the wall so we can continue. So, from the staff point of view, I think one of the challenges was, certainly when I went up onto the wards, was what's this all about? They didn't really recognise it. It was quite alien the first day we were there. But actually, within an hour, or less than an hour, the whole ward dynamic changed. It was very calm.
Yeah.
All the staff, all of us had been floated around the nursing bay and were just sitting writing their notes. The calmness of everything was just... So we definitely... We'd already had the project in one of our previous hospitals, but actually from a staff point of view, I think it was really important how much it impacted on them as well as staff members. And I think even the most cynical of staff members by the end were like, where are they? When are they coming back? I actually enjoyed that. So I think for me, that was one of the best things about it. Certainly when I wasn't around for all of the project, but the days that I did go up to Crawley, I think one of the best moments I saw was a family, an Asian family, who possibly might not have engaged normally. The whole family engaged, daughter, son, and the patient. It was just, and one of the musicians had an Indian instrument, and he was actually teaching everyone how to use it. It was just such a lovely moment. I think it was the highlight for me to see that happening. And yeah, so what we've done is we're going to get some more iPads, hopefully. Hopefully we might be able to extend the project to some of the other units. And hopefully the big outcome, I guess, from us is Jo is going to continue to work with us, and hopefully we'll be able to have a part of the Trust. We want volunteers to be music links on the ward, so this isn't just going to be a Crawley-based idea now. This is going to go to, hopefully, fingers crossed, all the inpatient units in our Trust. So for me personally, it's just been an amazing... I was really anxious about it at first. If I'm honest, I didn't think it would work as well as it did, but I'm so glad it did. And not just for the patients, and not just the patients living with dementia, for all the patients on the wards. I think it's important to highlight that we weren't just this person. It was for the whole, for all the patients, for all the staff, for all the families. It was just a really good. It was a good outcome. And I think the best outcome is that hopefully we're going to be able to roll it out further. So thank you for the money. And it couldn't have gone better, could it?
I think so. And that making that link with the volunteer coordinator. So we have a meeting next week with the volunteer coordinator for the Trust to look at. So this thing of how do we then empower people to use simple acts of music making as a relational tool. Not all of us identify as a musician, but we're all musical. And I think with a little bit of support and a little bit of confidence building and a few skills that you can have in your back pocket, I think it's well within the reach of a lot of people who are volunteering in our hospitals to... So I must tell you quickly, have I got time? Do you need me to?
No, go on.
Okay. Alongside the Crawley programme, funded by League of Friends Awards for All This, we also ran a 15-week programme at Kleinwater Hospital. And similarly there, it's the OT team really took it on and ran with it after the 15 weeks was up. And I must tell you that this OT had a really gorgeous idea. So their therapy room was down the end of a long, boring corridor from the ward, and people would walk up and down that corridor to help with mobilisation. So she had this great idea of asking their League of Friends to fund these laminated stick-on wording, and she created a musical wall. So as you walk down it, written on the wall in white wall thing, was "Oh, what a beautiful morning! Oh, what a beautiful day!" and pictures of the guy from Oklahoma on his horse, and some other scenes from musicals. So the aim being to kind of prompt people to have to sing as they walk, really. And she also generated with the staff, I thought this was very smart, a series of I could comments. So I could take my mobile phone out and play a song to someone that they like. Really simple, people do that. I could hum along with that song. I could sing a song, I could talk to my patient about music that they like. So really, really simple stuff. We're not talking about coaching people to suddenly play cello. We're just talking about what is there inherently within all of us that we can do. Using iPads, using these accessible instruments, it's really just about confidence and relating. So I'm really excited about the volunteer opportunity, really excited about the learning and the work that we did. And yeah, as Alison said, just really, really thank you for the support, and just it's been great to be a part of this.
Thank you. Joe, what's in the bag? Now you keep pointing to it.
It's a 5-note scale, a pentatonic scale, which is commonly used in some music from some African and some Asian countries. So, and you don't need to think to play it, because pentatonic just means we took out the bomb notes; they're no longer here. So. So you can make a really nice soothing sound, and the feel of that wafting down the hospital corridor is really lovely. And so we would invite people to play, and often people would say, I recognise that they're recognising the sound of the pentatonic scale. And then we can mirror what they're doing, and then hand their batons over so they're playing on their own, and we can take out another instrument and play with them. So it's just a way of, we know that when we sing familiar music, one thing happens in our brain. When we're creating and improvising and learning something new, something else is happening. So why don't we do both of those things? That's what I think. So yeah, I really love these, and I think every hospital. One of the best things I saw in the programme was, I was on the ward that day, and I had a jam with a lady using this, and at the end of the jam she wouldn't give it back. She was just like, no, I'm not doing that. And she was playing away, and I was like, okay. So I left it with her, and I went into the next door bay. And every now and again I'd peek my head round the corner and she'd still be playing. And then at one moment I saw, and this is what we're aiming for, a healthcare assistant walked by, and she gave her the stick and said, it's just like, just play with me for 2 minutes. And so they just spent a couple of minutes playing together. But there's a really nice bit of engagement. 2 minutes, so it's what we found in the research. Music activity doesn't have to be a big deal, 2:30 in the dining room. It can be 30 seconds at bedside. But the point is it's relational.
Thank you. So